Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing another responsive web design project. Today we're going to build a survey form. Here's our objective. I'm not going to use CodePen like they suggest here. I'm going to use GitHub because for reasons I think that it makes it for a better portfolio, and it also makes your some of your code projects public, and we can establish them. We can actually build real functional websites using that rather than using CodePen, which I think is a little bit less professional. But if you want to use CodePen, that's fine. Fulfill the below user stories and get the tests to pass and give it your own personal style. Okay, so I think it's interesting they say get all the tests to pass. Now, one thing I want to do is I'm going to set this project up, and I want to make it so that we start developing using the testing right away. We can use HTML, JavaScript, and CSS to complete this project. Plain CSS is recommended because that is what the lessons have covered thus far. You should get some practice with plain CSS. You can use Bootstrap or Sass if you choose. Additional technologies like jQuery, React, Angular, Vue are not recommended for this project, and using them is at your own risk. Don't do that. Just make them HTML, CSS. This is a quick little project that'll be easy to make over complex. Other projects will give you a chance to work with these technologies like React. We will accept and try to fix all issue reports that use the suggested technology stack for this project. Enjoy coding. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is say I can see a title with an ID title in the H1 sized element. So first off, I'm going to program a folder that I call code where I keep all my projects. So what I'm going to do is make a directory, and I'm going to call it a survey form. And then I'm going to change directories into the survey form folder. And so now I created a new folder called survey form, and I'm going to say git init. This initializes the GitHub repository. Now I'm going to go to GitHub, and I'm going to go to my page on GitHub, and I'm going to, I need to sign in. I need to go to GitHub/IA Robinson, and I'm going to create a new repository, and I'm going to call it survey form, and then survey form front-end project for portfolio. And we can create the repository. And now we want to push existing code from the repository, so we just copy this guy and we push to the master. Okay, so since we don't have anything to push, I don't think it's letting us do that. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to go touch. I'm going to add a Readme file. Touch just adds it creates a file. So touch, and then you put the file name. And then I'm also going to touch index.html ls. And now if I can open this folder in Atom by typing Atom period, and that'll open the Atom text editor along with the initial files. And you'll see that this brown one, this is the Git software, which is actually hidden. So you only see that in here. And then we've got our index file and our README. So the README is just going to say a survey form project, which this makes up one part of a series on FreeCodeCamp of a portfolio. Now, the reason I'm writing in the README file is because I want this address, where I've got the survey form, to display some text about what this project's about rather than just being empty. So I've added that, and then in the index, we want to add an H1 element with a ID of something, right? I don't remember what they wanted us to put in there, though. So I'm going back to here. They want the ID to be title. Title. And then this will be what are we going to make this survey form about? Music. Tell We'll make it about music. About music. I'm going to change that later probably. Okay, so now I've got an HTML page that's basically empty, and so I can open that with Google Chrome. I want to use Chrome to open it. So open. So I'm going to choose my application, and that's going to be Google Chrome. And in there, I'm going to open the index. So now I'm opening it. So now we've got the ID here. And one thing we want to do is we want to get. Oh, and also get status. Okay, so now I just need to commit the ones that I have. So I'm going to go get add, and then I'm going to use the question or the period to select both of them. A get period will get add period will add everything, or you can do it individually by typing in like that. They both get the same result. So get status, you can see it's green, which means it's staged. So I can go get commit -m and then initiate survey project. So this is just a message that'll be in the back end of Git. And then now my code changes have been committed, I'm going to say git push, and I'm going to add this to the, I'm just going to go git push. Okay, so I need to set the upstream master. And now this code that's on the back end here is being added to my GitHub repository. And so now we see that our README is here. And now that this is here, we can go to settings and set the GitHub pages to have the source of the master branch. And this will make it so that our project is actually live on the internet under this address. So I copy that link address and I'll just throw it in the README. See the working version here. And I save that, and now our README has it live on the internet. So now we're functionally developing on the internet. This won't show up immediately, so it does with a simple page like this. So now we're live on the internet. So now we have a URL that we can point to later once we develop our portfolio a little more. Okay, so I think I'm going to get rid of GitHub for now. I've set that up. We're actually developing on the internet, so I'm just going to come back here so keep my windows succinct. So here's the project we're working on now. The next thing I want to do is I want to get the JavaScript for the code pen to work. So a good way to do that is to come over here and check the change view of this guy, details view. Editor view, there we go. And so I'm looking through here, I'm trying to find where they placed the JavaScript. I'm trying to find what they do here. They have this JavaScript bundle, and you can use the CDN to run the tests. That's what we're trying to do now. So I'm just going to find this. Interesting. This is a little tricky. Okay, so the way to get this working, if I recall, is I'm going to close the README for now. I want to go script. Yeah, like that. And then source, and set that equal to this guy. Yeah. Cool. And so now my theory is that we'll have some test-driven development. Because if we refresh this, yeah, now this JavaScript has been loaded. So this is the way to load that in there. We want to set these in body text. So I'm going to close body here. I'm going to create an open body tag here. HTML. Language is English. Head. Close head. Body, and then we want to close HTML on as well. And so if we save this page, now we're working with a full-on, properly formatted HTML page. And if we set this to the survey form, you can see if we run the tests, we've got 2 tests passing out of 17. And so that's how we're going to do it this time. We're going to actually just run through and just do test-driven development. So yeah, I've got the survey form set, and so I can click the Run Tests button, and that'll give me the new results. So what I can do is just actually look at the test. I can see a short explanation with an ID description in p-sized text. Okay, cool. So we just want to come over here and go p-sized text. And then in the ID, we want to make it a description. And then we're going to say, this is a survey where you can teach us, so you can tell us about the music you're inspired by. Cool. And then when I have longer lines like that, I like to try to keep my code within a line like that. So now we've got the p text in there with the description, and I can come back over here. I've saved this file and I'm refreshing it on my local machine. And when we run the test, we see we have a 3rd pass. So we were able to get our p description working. And so next they want to make sure that there's a form with an ID of survey form. So for the next project, I'll go form ID equals survey form, and then we can close the form. And then I save that by pressing Command S over here, and then I'm going to refresh my page over here and run the tests. And we can see now we've got passing another test. And so we're just going to keep doing this. Our form, I actually can't see our form quite yet because it's behind the test results, but as we develop the form, it'll keep looking better and better. So, okay, so the next thing we're going to do is inside the form element, I'm required to enter my name in a field with ID name. If I do not enter a name, I will see an HTML5 validation error. Cool. So the way that we do this is we want to do an input of a, let's see, text field, HTML text field form input. I don't remember this off the top of my head, so I'm just going to look it up. Cool. I'm going to make this a little more organized. If I press Command Tab, I don't have that all that information on the sidebar. Okay, cool. And so input, we're going to say type is equal to text. Name, we'll set the name equal to name. And then we want required to be equal to true. I think you do it like that. Required. HTML required. HTML form required. Okay, cool. You just do required. You don't have to do required is equal to true. And then here we can say name. And then when we save that, we should have another test passing. So 4 was our last test not passing. So now if I refresh this and open the tests and run them, we still have 4 not passing. So inside the form element, I'm required to enter my name in a field with ID name. If I do not enter a name, I will see an HTML5 validation error. Input type form, close input. Okay, so I'm going to save that and then come back over here to see if I'm passing tests. Cool, same problem. There should be an input field, text field with an ID of name. Okay, so we don't have the ID yet here, so I want to make this ID is equal to name. And if I save that, I think that this will pass now. So I refresh the page, run the test suite again, and now we're moving on. We just got number 5 working. Cool, so the next level is number 5. Inside the form element, I'm required to enter an email field with an ID of email. If I do not enter an email, I will see a validation error. Cool. So it's basically, we're going to just do this guy again, except for our ID is going to be email. And if I save this and refresh over here, now we have a new email. I'm going to add a break line here so that it's not on the same line. And if we run the tests, I think they pass. I should see email. If I enter email that is not formatted correctly, I will see an HTML5 validation. Expected text. Oh, okay. So in here, I've got the type as text, but we should make it email. So I think if I save that, that'll make it so that that works. Looks like that's right. And so if somebody tries to enter an invalid email, it'll show. We don't have a submit button yet, so I'm not going to show that. Well, yeah, we might as well add a submit button. You can just do, this might actually pass a test as well. But if we run it now, we can see we've got a submit there. And so if we were to do ASDF, which isn't a proper email, well, we have to, it gives us this error of this is not a properly formatted email. So moving on, we're making progress. So we run the test, and now we're going to try to figure out why 7 isn't working. So inside the form, I can enter a number in a field with an ID of number. Cool. So we'll just add another form, and here we'll just call this number. And the type, well, the ID needs to be number. And, okay, so we've got, I'm going to add a break line to each of these lines. The number, the submit. And now our next field is a number. The type, an input field with an ID number. Cool. So the ID's number, we've set that properly. This should be something else. I'm not sure what, but I'm just going to run the tests now because I think this test-driven development will tell us what we need to fix next. So I refresh the page and run the tests, and inside the form I can see I can enter a number in the field with the ID of number. If I enter non-numbers in the number input, I will see HTML5 validation errors. So that's wrong right now. And what does that look like? The number, well, if I write in ASDF, it please include an @ for this email address. So we still have it set to be a type of an email in here. We want to make this number. ID, name, and the name should be number 2. Name should be email here. Cool. I'm going to refresh the page here, and I think if we run the test, this will pass another one. Cool. And we actually did 2. I entered non-numbers in the number input. I see an HTML5 error. Okay, that was the thing that we just tested. We can do, and if we, instead of the number, oh, we can't even put non-number code in here. Please enter a number. Cool, so that's the error. We just created a field. We're using HTML5 to validate our input forms. And let's look to see what we're gonna do for the next test. So we refresh the page. I always refresh the page and run the tests just because I don't like working on projects. It's a good way to, it's a good habit to have, is just to refresh a lot. If I enter numbers outside the range of the number input, I will see HTML5 validation error. Minimum number should be defined. Expected nan not to be nan. Minimum number should be defined. Oh, so I wonder if you can just go like minimum, define minimum number in a HTML form. Min attribute, that's what we're looking for. Cool. Here they've got min is 10, step is 5. Okay, cool. So min is equal to 0. And I bet we'll want to do, if I come back over here, For the name, email, number input fields inside the form, I see a corresponding label that describes the purpose. Okay, so that's not this one. So now let's see if my minimum number validation is right. So once again, I just save over here, and then I'm coming back into here, refreshing the page, running the tests. Boom, we've got 9. So it looks like if I enter, maximum number should be defined as well. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to take a guess here, but I'm going to say the max is probably like that. And if we save that and we return back over here, refresh the page, run the tests, cool, we passed number 9. Number 10, we see the name, email, and number input fields inside the form. I can see corresponding labels that describe the purpose of each field with the following IDs. ID is equal to name label. Oh, okay. Name label is not defined. Okay, so they want to have a label here. So we can add, I'm just going to put all these forms, I'm pressing command and clicking in order to move them like that. And I'm going to put all these guys in a label. Tag. Cool, so now they're set to label, but we want them to have corresponding IDs. So I'm going to set the IDs equal to, looks like they want name label, and then email label, and number label ID. Okay, cool. So I've got my labels in here. So if I save this and I refresh the page, let's see if number 10 passes now. Cool. Now we're looking at number 11. So I've just added a label there. The cool thing about this is we can use CSS later to dress them up and make them look cooler. For now, the label seems to work. And then if you go 1 to 10, so it's only giving me the options to 1 to 10. So that's the min-max thing that we set. And so yeah, let's see the tests. Number 11, for the name, email, and number input. Oh, I want to refresh the page, run the tests, and now on 11. For the name, email, and number input fields, I can see a placeholder text that gives me a description of the instructions for each field. Cool. So placeholder text is the text that's within here. So here, what we do, we can just add it directly to the end of each of these input fields, and we're going to put a space and go placeholder. And then in here we get to add whichever one we want. Your first name. Yeah. Placeholder text. This one should be email. Best email. And then our placeholder text for the number. Level of excitement. Cool. Now I've saved all that, and if we refresh here, you'll see I can make this something more like money, just because it's such a small field. Cool. So now we've got placeholder text in here. So if we refresh the page and we run the tests, I think we're good to go. Yeah, we're set to number 12 now. So yeah, number 12 out of 17. Inside the form element, I can select an option from a dropdown that has the corresponding ID dropdown. I can select an option for a dropdown. Cool. So I'm thinking HTML dropdown menu form. Dropdown. A dropdown list is like this. Okay, cool. I'm just actually going to copy this in here. We're going to say, oh, but what did it want? I'm pressing Command 3 to iterate through the tabs without having to move my computer. The form element, I can select an option from a dropdown that has a corresponding ID of dropdown. So I think we can go ID is equal to drop down, and the name of this guy is going to be guitars. And here we've got vendor Martin. These are just guitar type names. What was like the Led Zeppelin guitar? Yeah, what's that guy? Epiphone, yeah. And then we want to make sure we set the value, otherwise we'll be passing in the wrong thing. But these should be set in kind of lowercase, more like computer language. So I'm just going to change these to what their corresponding is. Cool. And now if we save this page and we can close this, and we come back over here and refresh, we should see a drop-down menu with the different options. So that's good news. If we click the thing and we run the tests, it seems like we passed another one. Cool. We're on to 13. Inside the form element, I can select a field from one or more groups of radio buttons. Cool. So we want radio buttons. HTML radio buttons. Cool. Type radio. Name, gender. Okay, so this, with the radio buttons, it's kind of important to describe a little bit about how it works. The name ties them together, and then the value is what gets passed from the front end to your whatever's receiving the form data. And so I think we can actually just keep this one, male, female, or other. If we refresh this page, you'll see that we have now a radio buttons. I'm just gonna add a break tab here, just so we keep them separated. And yeah, cool. Now we're good to go with this. We've got a drop-down menu, and if I were to run, I refresh the page and then run the tests. Cool. We've got another one passing. 16, 17. 3 more to go. Inside the form element, I can select several fields from a series of checkboxes, each of which must have a value attribute. Cool. So I'm just going to go checkbox, HTML, and nice. I'm going to, underneath the breakpoint, I just add these guys in here. Type is checkbox, name is vehicle 1, 2, 3. Cool. And I'm just going to save this, and we'll see how this looks on our page. So now we've got a series of checkboxes, and if we were to run the tests, I think they pass. And so yeah, inside the form element, I am presented with a text area at the end for additional comments. So I think I remember this one. Input type is equal to text area. Form text area at the end for additional comments. You know what? I don't think you need this close input here, or here, or here, or here. And if I refresh the page, looks like we have a text area. This would be additional comments. We could just go ahead and go placeholder and make this additional comments. And if I save that, we've got the placeholder here. Let's see if that passes it. Run the test, 15 out of 17. I'm presented with a text area at the end for additional comments. And what does it say? There should be at least one text area. And there wasn't any. I wonder if I can just go, instead of input, just make it text area. Okay, so I'm just definitely needs to close the text area. The reason that I know that is because it's just started converting everything in there to be part of the placeholder. So There we go. Additional comments, text area, placeholder. If I run the tests, I think that this will pass. Nice. And the last one, inside the form element, I'm presented with a button with an ID submit to submit my things. And even though I had to type it here, I didn't have the ID is equal to submit. If I save this and refresh the page, I should have passing the tests. Okay, so this fulfills the requirements of this project. However, there's an opportunity to make this page look at least a little bit better. If I look at this guy's, let's see, FreeCodeCamp form. They got name, age, email. How do you recommend FreeCodeCamp? And they've got this kind of cool looking background, and it's got multiple colors. Yeah, the form, it's kind of neat. They're actually using they're using an API. Okay. Oh, this is actually in React or something like that. A lot of background image stuff. Yeah, so we could just kind of style it up a bit. Let's see here. If we want to add style, we can just go style. Okay, so now I'm just going to write a little bit of CSS. Let's make it so that the body has a font family of sans serif. If I save that, cool. Now I've got what I think is better looking format. Yeah. I wonder, how could we do the spacing in all of this? Maybe if we just set label, we do label, and we set the label to the font size to be equal to 18. Cool, now our labels look differently. And then display block. Cool, now we've got the labels large sized, and they also take up a whole line. And so, yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. This is kind of a weird form. So, type name, value, checkbox, text area, additional comments, submit. I can make an input and then do display is equal to block. Nice. Now we've got some spacing. Yeah. And then maybe for the label, I'll go padding bottom 10 pixels. Nice. So that gives us some spacing underneath these guys. And you know, we could basically just what's the CSS for center? CSS center text align. We can go text align center. Save this guy, come back over here. Nice, we've got everything text aligned to the center, but the form elements have gone terribly wrong. Not sure if I want to do that with the bodies. I think I can go padding left with this guy and go like 20 pixels. Yeah. Maybe 50%. 20%. Let's go 33%. So it's 1/3 of the page. It starts at 1/3 of the page. And now it's kind of a responsive looking thing as well. Let's see. For the form, we could do a background color. Background color of CCU. This is just my favorite color. It's the one that I use for most of my projects. Cool. And then we actually want to make the padding right at 33% as well. Let's make this 20% and this 20%. Cool. Now we've got kind of a formatted thing. And then also we can make the margin left is equal to 20 pixels. And the margin right is equal to 20 pixels. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. Description. Okay, cool. Let's see the title. We've got our H1. Refresh the page, and then maybe I could go background color opacity 12, 20%. Is that a real thing in CSS? Nope. Background color opacity. Ooh. Okay, cool. I'm just going to copy this guy. Oh, I wonder if background color, and then if I did 20% like that, would that get me there? Oh, it just broke it. Okay. What about opacity? I think that this will make the form invisible. Yeah, we don't need that. Okay, cool. So, yeah, let's just work with that for now. I think I want to do checkbox. Something like... Where did I have it? Yeah. So now I want to select input dot checkbox, and then display inline. Oh, that didn't work. Horizontally align checkbox. HTML, CSS. Display inline block. Input dot checkboxes display inline block. Inline block, interesting. Add this code in your CSS. Category checkboxes. This is for unordered lists. Checkbox. Well, I could do it based on the type. Let's move on to trying to do it with the radio buttons. Inline radio buttons, that's what we want. Type radio, opt radio. And then our... Oh, this one's using Bootstrap. That's kind of annoying. Yeah, I would totally use Bootstrap to bring in the jQuery and that for this, but I don't think that that's the way that we want to do this project. I'm just going to add this guy to the top because this is proper HTML. Radio inline. Yeah, so what they're doing here is they're just using Bootstrap, the radio inline. Yeah. So what we can do, yeah, that's what we can do. We can set the radio to class is equal to radio inline. And then we just say, so the class, so we're going to start with a period. I'm just going to, and then get rid of this guy. So now we're selecting the radio inline. We set the class for the radio buttons, and then we're using our CSS to adjust all of them to have an inline block. And I think that'll get them horizontally. Didn't. Let's see what happens if it's inline. Radio inline. Let's see if we make it like font size. Sometimes I'll just throw crazy things in there so I can see it, see if it works. Oh, interesting. Okay, so radio inline. Style radio buttons HTML. Nice. Yeah, the reason that this is kind of challenging is because I never do stuff like this, because I always work with libraries that have all this stuff built. And so that's why this is kind of weird. So I'm just going to start stealing some CSS from this lovely gentleman, whoever wrote this thing. Type check. Let's see if that did it. Oh, it changed them a little. Let's see, I'm going to inspect this. The survey form. Padding. I'm going to add like padding. Like 20 pixels. 20 pixels. 20 pixels. 20 pixels. Nice. Now I've got some padding in there so it doesn't look so bad. I actually want to change this to 40. Nice. Now we've got the form. It looks a little bit better. Now what was that? CSS horizontally stack inner outer container has an overflow hidden width of 20. Inner is overflow hidden width of 200. 2000 pixels. Child float. Okay, cool. So if we want the radio buttons to do that, we can be like div ID radio button container area. So what I'm doing now is I'm creating a div that is a parent div to all of these guys, and then I should be able to set the radio button area more effectively because of we can do background. We don't need background color. Float left. I think the float left is the key here. So I'm just going to comment these out for now. And let's see if that worked. Cool. Let's add some stuff back in here. Background color blue. Cool. So now I can see what I'm working with. All we've really done is just aligned this one and that one. So, yeah. I think we could actually use this width 50%. And then let's call it button area, and then we can use button area for that as well as the checkbox. So we can just add this guy here, then close the div here. If I save that, we should have, oh, I need to make it button area, not radio button area. Now we have them aligned somewhat. Yeah. Let's see, I want to put a label on the guitar, the drop down situation. ID, guitar type label. If I save that, I've got a new label here. And I can do this. And we can say this one is gender. I've added a gender label here. And here we've added transportation type. Nice. Okay, and so what can we do now? This just looks terrible. But the tests are all passing, so technically we could have just quit with this a long time ago. I never said that it had to look cool, but because it's going to be part of a portfolio, everything should look kind of cool. Okay, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to just space these apart with the label and the input. That way it's easier to sort of see what's going on here. This is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one, that's the fourth one. Now we might as well just move this additional comments up above the button areas because they're getting a bit messed up from this element. And we want to add a label type. I'm going to say comments. So if we refresh now, those guys are still off balance. Oh, it might be because of the BR. I don't think I need that now. We do need it here, at least for now. Cool, and now those guys are lined up, and we can remove this blue because it looks terrible. Yeah, got the drop down. Yeah. Let's go with, we've got a display of block, and we can make the width of the inputs at 100%. And that'll make it so they cover the thing. The same thing we should do with the text area. Display is equal to block. Width is equal to 100%. Cool. And I think we should do that with the select as well. Okay, so instead of duplicating this code, what we can do is say input and then text area, and then we can also say select. And then we don't have to rewrite this code 3 times. So if I refresh now, cool. Now we're using the same CSS selector for each of these. And yeah, we can do like a padding bottom of maybe 20 pixels. And that'll give us some more space. Nice. And yeah, I still really want to get these guys horizontally aligned. But, you know, to be honest, I don't really care that much, because this is basically shows that you have the concept of a form, and at the end of the day, like, what do you need to do to... This form's not going to actually be functional, so there's no reason in making it look really amazing. It's just basically a practice of developing the code. So I'm going to actually stop this here. We run the tests, we see they pass. Let's see. What happens if we go back to the GitHub? So in my repositories, I can check the survey form, but okay, so we haven't even pushed the changes up with the README, right? So if I open the README, there's our survey form. Now, just because we were making those changes and saving the changes locally on our local machine doesn't mean they were showing up here. Our survey form still looks like this from when we started. So we need to push our changes. So I'm going to say get status to see where we're at. And it shows me that the README file has been adjusted and the index file has been adjusted. If I wanted to, I could go get diff, and it'll walk me through, okay, we've added all these green lines of code. So we basically just added all the code. And then it'll also show you the next file too. Oh, I think it did it up here. It said that we removed. Yeah, we also added here to the README. So now we've got get status. We want to go get add. So we're going to add these changes to staging, and then we're going to say get commit -m. So we're going to say update README with working URL. And then on the next line, we built the survey form. And then I'm going to go get push. And this should push the changes here so that this repository will have the URL here. And then that way, when people get sent to here, they can click this, and this will show the differences as well. However, sometimes GitHub pages actually takes a few minutes to sync up. And so it's not there yet, but it will be shortly. And that's how we do this. Let's see, what do they want us to do? Inside the form element, I presented a button with ID of submit. You can submit all my inputs. You can build it on your CodePen, or you can do the CDN here. Once you're done, you can submit the URL to your working project with all its tests passing. So to do that, we just need to get this guy. And cool, it's finally live. So the survey form, we run the tests, and it's passing in production. And so this is our URL, which we can submit to the FreeCodeCamp project. And once we've done that, we're ready to go on to the next one. So yeah, that's how we build a survey form. Obviously, this isn't the most beautiful form in the world, but I think for the purposes of this lesson, this is totally fine. They just want to get you in making these, and then this will give us a little bit of information about your ability to build forms. A lot of web development, you're going to be using tools that build forms for you, so it's good to know this stuff, but at the same time, you'll be using libraries in the future that do a lot of this for you. So yeah, looks like our test passed, and we're ready to go to the next one. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.